Ladies and gentlemen, today we are delighted to have Ruth South with us. Ruth is married with 5 children, who she homeschooled for over 20 years.
I did.
Ruth's education includes Wolverhampton University, BSc Psychology, Christian Counselling, trainer on and skin and hair for children of diverse cultures in the care system. Ruth has done many things in her life, including being a hairdresser for over 30 years, manager for a mental outreach establishment, Neighbourhood watch coordinator, Residents Association founder, co-author, Applied Knowledge of Is Power, a handbook on police stop and search, entrepreneur, and own a company called Nice to Be Natural Limited for hair and skincare, CEO and founder of CARE, which stands for Communities Against Racism Enterprise, ACA, Community Allyship, Restoration, Equality, Empathy, and a member of Wolverhampton Police Scrutiny Panel. Ruth is a presenter on a religious YouTube channel called Biblical Perspective, and also the creator of an award-winning Sokotato, Wreath and Flower of Remembrance, Hope and Healing. And its 2nd anniversary will be on the 31st of July, 2024. Ruth, welcome.
Yes. Hello, thank you for having me, Donald.
Oh my God, wow, wow, wow. What a summary. And I believe that's just a snippet of what you actually do.
It is.
That's fantastic. I always thank people for agreeing to be a part of this forgotten generation that I do, because I talk to a lot of people, not everybody agreed to do an interview, especially a visual interview. Okay. So thank you very much and welcome. How are you today?
I'm not too bad, you know. I've been working really hard, as we do. And I'm only halfway through my work, but I had to pause for you, Donald, of course. So.
Of course. Well, I really, really appreciate that. And let's hope the public will appreciate what you, and I'm sure they will, have got to say. So we're going to go on a journey, and we're going to go way back when. And I'm going to start off in asking you where you were born.
Okay. I thought I was born in Wolverhampton, but I was born in Raleigh Regis. And how I found that out was I lost my birth certificate or misplaced it. And I went to the registrar in Wolverhampton, couldn't find no trace of me. I went online, and it was a long process, Donald, and I found out that I was born in Raleigh Regis.
Is that right?
Yes, essentially. I was at home birth, you see, so I wasn't involved at the hospital, so there was no trace of me there.
Oh, wow.
I was almost a forgotten generation.
Almost. Oh, I can imagine home birth back in those days. I wonder how common that was. However,
yes,
that's probably another story, because
it is actually, it really is, because yes, it is, and I wouldn't mind coming in and telling you why I was a home birth. It was a special thing, so yes.
Oh, go on, tell us then. Give us a brief on that. Why was that?
Okay, because back in the day, as Black people, they didn't give us good accommodation. But my mum, being the woman that she was, she made sure that she got nice things. Coming from her background, they had money. So she made sure she got nice things. And one thing that she had was carpet. So the midwife said to her, Mrs. Reed, you can have this baby at home because you've got a lovely home and you've got carpet on the floor. That's why I was born at home.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
A bit of carpet.
Oh my God. I guess back in those days, of having a bit of carpet was quite special, wasn't it?
Yes.
As opposed to the old lino and
absolutely, yes.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. So were your parents also born here in this country, or they're from elsewhere?
No, they're from the Caribbean, Jamaica specifically. For those of you who are Jamaican and you were watching this, it was St. Thomas, the parish, St. Thomas, and the area or district was Pilot. So
okay. This isn't about me, it's about you. However, I am also from St. Thomas.
Oh.
Yes.
Could be related, you never know. I've got Campbells
Born
in my
and
family. I've got
yeah.
Campbells in my family, so you never know.
Oh yeah. Okay. It's a very small world. And have you got siblings?
Yes, I've got 12 now, but there was 13. My brother passed away last year,
Oh, sorry to hear that.
September. So thank you for your
Yeah.
condolences.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. 13. That's a
Yes.
sizable oh my God, that's a lot. That's a
It's
lot. So what's the split, boys and girls?
right. I've got 8 sisters and 4, but now 3 brothers. But there was twins involved, right? So it
Okay.
was
Are you one of the twins?
no, I'm not, unfortunately.
All right, okay, okay. Oh my God, that must have been an exciting family to
It was
grow up in.
wonderful.
Oh my goodness, that's absolutely fantastic. So, do you embrace your culture as I ask this question all the time because I meet a lot of different people, and some people see themselves as English, British, Caribbean, or specifically where they're from in the Caribbean. How do you describe yourself in terms of
You
your
know,
culture?
that's a very interesting question because people tell me that I'm not Jamaican. I said, listen, I've got Jamaican DNA. My parents only came here to have me, but I've come from the Caribbean via my parents. So I am Caribbean in my DNA, but I live in England and I've embraced the British culture.
Yeah,
So I've got
yeah.
dual heritage.
Well, that's fine. And for me, is what you define yourself as is more important, not really what people tell you. So that's how I see that.
Yes. So
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 that's good.
yes, I do identify as
Yeah. So
Caribbean.
have you had the privilege of I say privilege, I think it's a privilege of going to Jamaica.
Don't ask me that question, please, because the answer is no.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
Yes. You see,
Wow.
I've always wanted to go as a young girl. My friends were going and they came back with bites on their legs at the size of 2 pence pieces. And I said, I'm not paying for that. And then when I wised up and got real, I had all these children, so I couldn't afford to go. 'Cause it's quite expensive to take a family
Yeah.
of 7 to
Yeah.
Jamaica. So I've
Yes.
not got,
Yes.
but I will go. That is on my bucket list to visit.
Okay. Well, I'll certainly recommend it, although I have been for a while. However,
Yeah.
why did your parents decide to come here then?
Well, Donald, as a lot of parents, they came because they said the streets were paved with gold. Who told them that lie? I do not know. But then my father, because of his work back in Jamaica,
Yeah.
he thought he could forge a life here. And then he was in, the Royal Air Force as well. So all those links made him want to come to England. Plus his friends came as well. So he had a
Oh,
cohort of friends. So
so your daddy was in the Royal Air Force?
he absolutely was.
All right. Do you want to expand on that a little bit? Does he come over here like during the war or anything, or what was all that about?
No, he didn't. He went on the. He was the engineer for the planes, so he would service them and do all of
Right.
that kind of things with the planes.
Yes.
So he came after the war. He came after the war. So
Okay. Okay. And then joined the Air Force once he came.
yes.
Oh,
So
that's very interesting. Did he ever talk to you about that, being in the Air Force?
do you know? But we never really asked our parents, about their past work history, and I wished I had because my father, he had such a varied life.
Right.
And after the Air Force, he's got his wings and everything. I've still got his wings. I wish I had them to show you today, but my elder brother is in receipt of those.
No problem.
But it was interesting because then he became a bus driver when he came here. And I thought, why would a man have such skills and then become a bus driver? He had other jobs in between them, but he ended up as a bus driver. And when I looked at the uniform, Donald, it's the same colours. So I think he felt an affinity with the colours of the uniform of being a bus driver, as in the Royal Air Force.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned wings. I'm quite intrigued. Big wings. What sort of wings are you talking about here? As in, you've got pilot wings or other wings? What sort of wings does he got? Do you know?
It's the metal. I may need to show you in person sometime. The metal wings that he got for when he left the Royal Air Force.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Leave
So
it present. Okay. Yeah.
yes,
All
yes.
right. That's really good though. Do you know how long you spent in the Air Force? Did you ever
I
talk about?
don't.
Oh, not to worry.
I can try and find out. I've got my elder sister. She would probably know a lot more because she was born in Jamaica, so
Okay.
she has all the history of the
Oh, right.
British and the Caribbean history
Right,
as
right.
well. So I need to ask her about my father's.
Also, some of your siblings, or just one, were born in the Caribbean, in
Yes,
Jamaica?
one. I've got two. One is still in the Caribbean, and I've got
Okay.
one that's here.
All
So
right. Interesting. Interesting. So back to you then. You born in Raleigh Regis, and I suppose did you go straight up to Wolverhampton? Did you know, or did you spend time in Raleigh Regis growing up, or what? Do you know?
no, I think we came to Wolverhampton. I think my father's work brought him to
Yeah.
Wolverhampton, so
Right.
that's where we ended up.
So that's where you went to school.
I went to school in Wolverhampton,
Yeah.
yes.
What
It
was
was,
that like?
do you know, infant school was
Yeah.
wonderful. I really liked infant school. Secondary school, you know, when you start to look and think, how did I get here? And I realized we were just told you have to go to school. So I had a really good time. The teachers were amazing. Really loved my teachers, and my friendship groups they were really well founded.
Right.
There wasn't many black children there, so obviously you forged friendships with white children.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was a we had a good I had a good time at school. I really enjoyed school.
Was that a mixed school, or was it all girls, or?
No, it was mixed. No,
Oh,
it wasn't a girls' grammar. Yes, it was mixed.
did you say grammar?
No, it wasn't. I said it wasn't a grammar school.
Yeah, all right, okay,
I
yeah,
wasn't that
okay, that's
I
fine.
wasn't that fortunate. And you know, Donald, back in the day, parents, I don't think they understood that we could have sat the 11 plus. They just thought, okay, there's a school in the area which is closest where we don't have to walk and pick them up every day. There's that school, send them there. So it was more like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think a lot of it's to do with knowledge as well,
Yeah,
knowing the system and how they can actually not necessarily exploit it, but make it best for their children and take advantage of it. A lot of
yes,
them, this is lack of knowledge, really, just didn't know that it
absolutely.
existed
Yes.
because yourself and others were as bright as anybody else, but didn't get the opportunity, maybe. Wow. So what did you want to do once after leaving school?
I never really thought about it because the natural route, boys, factory, foundry, or the girls, secretarial work. And, but interestingly, when I was 13, I was going around to elderly black women's houses and I was doing their hair. I don't know how I ended up doing it, but I was doing that at 13. So I've always liked hairdressing. But when I left school, I hadn't thought about what do I really want to do.
Wow. So after you left, then did you do a natural progression into hairdressing?
Oh, because I was already doing it, you see. So, because I was doing it while I was at school,
Right, right, right. So you just carried on as a
I
as a
just
as a
carried on.
profession.
And then I became
Wow.
self-employed and I was working from home, self-employed for years. And then I was
Wow.
headhunted by a hairdresser's. So I
Oh,
went to work.
really?
Yes, yes,
Wow. So
yes.
when you were headhunted, then did you
Mm.
have your own business going on, and then somebody headhunted you, or what?
Yes, because I was doing hair and when they'd leave, they would go and say, who did your hair? And my name kept coming up over and over again. And then they said, would you like to come and work at our salon? I says, I'll have a go. I'll have a
Wow.
little nosy at see how the salons operate. And that's how I got into it. But I learned quite quickly. So
Yeah, fantastic. But you were a very, very busy lady, aren't you? I mean, just looking at your summary there, you were a founder and CEO of various organizations. And would you like to tell us about some of those?
yes, well, I'm doing all of them, but the one that I'm focusing on now is care, which is the community. It's obviously the two names are running parallel because we felt the
Mm,
need to add to it.
mm,
So you mentioned before it's called Communities Against Racism Enterprise, also known as AKA Community
mm.
Allyship, Restoration, Equality. And we've got to have the empathy in there. Otherwise, what is the point of an organization that is about community? So that organization was founded in 2020. And how it came about, this George Floyd thing was bandied about. So what it did, it highlighted to me that I had racism in my life at a very early age. I was about 5, and I was in school and I wanted to play with a group of people, a group of children, and one of the boys said, "You can't play with us because you're black." I said, "Black? My clothes are not black, they're pink and they're clean." Because I'm only 5, Donald, I'm not going to think about the colour of my
Wow.
skin,
Wow.
because my skin's brown.
Yeah.
We never
Yeah.
see black as a colour of your
Yeah.
skin, we see it as brown.
Yeah.
And then I realised, oh, we're talking about my skin. And that was my first experience of racism.
At 5.
Little Robert, his name was,
At age 5.
at age 5.
So that really left an imprint on your mind, doesn't it? Really.
Yes, it really did. And what's quite sad is that I didn't tell my parents about that incident, and I know Robert didn't tell his parents. And I'm thinking, what has Robert grown up to be to this day with those kind of mindsets? So fast forward 2020, I went on Facebook and I said, has anybody experienced racism and at what age? Then a plethora of answers came through saying, yes,
Wow.
me. I remembered it. And the common phrase was, I remembered it like it was yesterday.
Gosh.
And I was like, that's traumatic impact there.
Yes.
So I went on to do care and just said, let me, start looking at it more deeply.
So that's how you founded that particular organization?
Yes.
That's fantastic. What about the others?
Right. So Nice to Be Natural was founded because I couldn't do my daughter's hair. I was doing it, but then going to the hairdressers when they called me to come in, you lost all the natural skills, and now you're perming, you're relaxing hair, you're coloring hair. So you lost all the natural skills. So when I had my daughter, I could not do her hair, and she used to cry all the time. And I said, no, there's got to be something different. So I researched, and I realized that natural hair needs moisture. It's a whole thing, which is another story. But we thought that Dax and Blue Magic and greasing the hair and pressing it was the way to go, but it wasn't. It was a detriment to the hair. So I found it nice to be natural, because I said, you know what? It's nice to be natural. And I passed those skills on to my daughters. They can all do their hair, and it's
really
wonderful. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. So being such a busy lady, you find time. I really need to go back a little bit. And you say to me that you homeschool your children 20 years.
Yeah, for 20 years.
The first question I'd ask you is, why did you start to do that?
Right. My eldest daughter, she's now 30, and she was in primary school.
30?
30, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And she came and said to me one day, Mom, they said I come from a monkey.
Really?
But yeah, I said, Jayana, her name's Jayana, lovely girl. I said, you do not come from a monkey, because we're Christians, right? So we're saying that we were created by God.
Yeah.
And because it was a Christian school, it was confusing her. I said, you know what? I heard about homeschooling, and I took the plunge with my husband, and I said together we were going to do this. And it was because of that. I said, spiritually, she can't stay in this environment. It's for spiritual reasons. Because if you're coming from a monkey, that tells you there's no God, which tells me that your life is not going to go the way it should go, because you need that spiritual emphasis. So that's why I homeschooled.
Wow. Can I ask you then, what age was your daughter at the time?
She was 6, 7. She'd just finished infants, and I said she's not going to go to primary. So I started her with my second youngest daughter, who's 23 now. So when I started the first daughter, the youngest daughter was about 6 months old.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 more children after that. I just homeschooled them as well.
The reason I asked that question is that you told me there's this indentation in your mind of what, was it Robert? Said to you at 5. So you see where I'm getting at here, with your daughter being almost the same age and experiencing the same thing.
True.
All these years later. And I'm wondering now, in society, is that still going on?
Absolutely.
So, the experiences that a lot of Black youngsters or brown or of color go through You can see what indentation it leaves on their mind at such a young age, and probably what damage that may have done if they don't have the proper parents like yourself to nurture them through. Amazing. Wow. So did you homeschool all your children?
The eldest boy, no, he was already in the school system, so
okay.
He continued.
How did you find that? I'm really intrigued with this because for various reasons, so I won't go into at the moment. But how was that?
To have one going to school?
To homeschool. I'm asking from your perspective, and probably from your children's perspective, because obviously it's whose perspective, isn't it? Where their friends are going to school and they're not, they're being homeschool. But also you see other people sending their children. And you had one that went to normal school. So how did you find that?
Right, another interesting question. Because my daughter, Jayana, she was always very mummy. So being at home with me was the best thing for her, and sliced bread. But the other children didn't know any better. They'd never seen nursery. They hadn't seen school or anything like that until they were about 16, 17.
Wow.
So all their life was about homeschooling. But you see, the beauty of it is, at first, I'm going to be honest with you, at first it was daunting.
Right.
Nobody was doing it. And it was like I was the only one. And I was trying to make it like it was a school day. And in my head, I says, no, this is homeschool. Let's do it our way. And that's when it opened up so many avenues for us. We could go shopping when we wanted to. We could do field trips. We could go abroad for months on end. And because you're free, it was absolutely amazing.
Fantastic. So what about the actual linking with the system as far as examination and all that sort is concerned? I guess you had to learn all about that so that they fit into the curriculum of life. Or how does that work?
No, because the curriculum that we had, it was an international baccalaureate, so anywhere you go in the world, that you can find that curriculum there.
Oh, right.
So my daughter, the eldest daughter, she went to university in America.
Wow.
And what she did, she was 18. What she did, because she had to get her American GED.
Yeah.
She went online. She went on dear old Google. Went via Amazon. She got 2 GED books. Went in our local library. Studied for literally 3 weeks. Took her test. Passed it. Got a scholarship and went to America to study at the university. So I'm saying I didn't do the normal British curriculum. No, I went another route.
Wow. And of course, I believe your children have done marvelously well since,
Yes, they have. Wow. I mean, the eldest boy, he didn't homeschool, but he went to university.
Yeah.
My daughter went to university. I've got one now, studying to be a teacher at university. The 2 boys went to Abu Dhabi for a couple of years.
Wow.
And one got all his GCSEs there, and the other boy got engineering. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so there's other routes, right?
Your dad must be so pleased with
My father. Pardon?
No, you and your husband.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
It was wonderful. It was good. They would probably take something else, but I think I did what was right for them because they've done so much and they've gone around the world where they wouldn't have if they were in school because they would have been confined in that space. So
yeah. That's interesting because when I ask these questions, I always try to think of both sides, parents' side and the children's side, because children are children.
Yes.
Why am I not going to school like everybody else? Why am I being homeschooled?
Yes.
Those questions probably come about.
They probably asked those in their head. I mean, the one boy kept saying, I just want to try it out. I just want to try it out. And then when they had to go to school, went to Abu Dhabi, he wished he was at home. They're very,
really?
Yeah, because, it's always that curiosity and it's a natural curiosity.
Yeah.
But when you know that you can find to that space, it's like, I understand now the freedom was being at home while learning.
That's fantastic. You sound such a really founded person, and I'm sure your family very rooted in the community and a pillar of the community. How did you become involved with being a police police scrutiny panel of Wolverhampton. How did you come about like that?
Right, because you know what's interesting? My mother, she was a very community-minded person.
Okay.
And yes, she really, really was. She started the first community services in our
Oh,
church. So she would,
wow.
go and feed the poor, and she would bring strangers home and to stay and look after them. So
Right.
so I think a lot of that's from my mom. But when it came to the police scrutiny panel, remember the book that I wrote or co-authored with a friend?
Yes.
Well, his son was stopped and searched by 12 police officers.
Really? 12 police officers.
12 police officers. They were strip searched by 12 police officers. And it was a very traumatic time for him. So he came and told me, and I was in pieces because he's a good friend of mine. And I said, Adrian, and it'd be great if you could interview him at some point, which I think you probably will. I said, Adrian, we've got to do something. It went to the IOPC, and they said that the police have no case to answer. I said, that's
So the
true.
IOPC, sorry, the IOPC is what?
Yes, it's the Independent Office of Police Complaints.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry about that. That's their acronym.
Not a
And
problem. No problem.
and they said there was nothing that the police had done wrong. I mean,
Really?
yes.
So they saw a young black lad on the street and 12 of them arrested him?
He was at a train station going to see his girlfriend in Grantham.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole story by itself, so we won't go into
it
it
is.
right now.
It really is.
That is very reflective in terms of personally, as I think back, which I won't go into, but also from speaking to so many other young black male. So that's a complete world that we need to explore more, and I would love to do it.
Yes, it is. It really,
Wow.
really is, and that's why. So we thought we need to get to understand the police and how they operate. So I said to Adrian, we need to do something. So we wrote this book called, I have it here somewhere. If I can show you the book. It's called the A-Kit book, Applied Knowledge is Power, because I'm saying if our young men, so there's the book, it's back to front, and if I can actually sort of flick through it, so it's got it's got the police in there and what they should do.
Oh, right.
The police code of conduct, what they should be doing.
Wow.
So that's the A-Kit mantra. It's back to front. I'm not sure if it's
yeah, I can see some stuff. And is this available on Amazon or somewhere?
It's not yet on Amazon because we're making sure that it's going to not confine just to those that can get it, but we want to make sure that it gets into the right hands at the right time.
Right.
So we had a book launch with it. It was an amazing book launch. The Police and Crimes Commissioner,
really?
Simon Foster, came and graced us with his presence, and we did a radio interview with him as well, and he endorsed the book again there. So he's very happy that the book is out there.
I am just sort of thinking straight away, that's going to be the first of its kind. I've never heard of anybody else doing something like that.
Yes, well, not a book like this based on a trauma of somebody's son. I said, Adrian, we need to write a book to arm and equip our young people on how to navigate a police stop and search. So it's not just for Black boys, it's for anyone.
Right.
It's predominantly for Black and people of colour, but it's also for anyone that has had a negative police stop and search. And it's for the police to hold themselves to account. So in there, we've got information on the police on how they should, act when they are stopping and searching someone. They've got a protocol. They've got a protocol. They've got a code of conduct. They've got police oath. We've got our protected characteristics. We've got our human rights. Right. And they are there to protect and serve. And if that's violated, then it's not the child or the person being stopped and searched. It's the police that need to look and scrutinize themselves. Wow. So that's how we ended up on the police scrutiny panel because of what.
Wow. So I can just imagine that you are very effective being on there, having done all this work. So do they actually listen to you as an individual, as a pillar of society, and take note?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. because they understand that we have the lived experience. We are experts by experience.
Yes.
And Simon Foster, I'm good friends with him now. We're very friendly, and he will come to events that we host. So they do recognize and they do listen and take into account what we are presenting to them. Case in point, we went to the Stephen Lawrence. They invited us to the Stephen Lawrence anniversary.
Oh yeah.
And we said to them, listen, you're talking about restorative practice. How can you restore relations between the community and the Black people in the community, people of color? And we said, you've already got restorative practice when things go wrong between stop and search and young people. Mm-hmm. And they weren't using it. So we kept saying to them, you need to do psychometric testing on the officers before you employ them, because their mindset is one that could be racist.
Yes.
Donald, there's a Harvard racist test that they can take.
Really?
Oh yes. I'm a researcher. I love to research. So there's a Harvard test that they can actually implement within the interview questions to see if a person is racist. And I said, wow, you need to implement that. So I'm not sure if they've done it yet, but the restorative practice, they've taken that on board. They're actually using.
This is very interesting what you're saying. For me, I should see this going from Wolverhampton to the rest of, let's just deal with UK for the moment.
Yes.
Because I have never heard of that Harvard test, right? So if they're serious about the practices and behaviors and, you know, a more harmonistic living in the community, they should roll this out right across.
Yes, they should. They really should. Now, I did present it to one of the police officers there. I said, have you ever heard of this? He said, no. I said, okay, interesting. I said, you need to do psychometric testing on these officers, because the police force is not racist. It's racist police going into the police force.
I understand that.
Because you have some amazing police officers that want to protect and serve, and they will ally with the community. But there are some that go in there to do insidious things.
Yes, because they have the power, they think.
Absolutely.
And get away with it. And that's very much intrinsic with most of life, isn't it? Yes. In terms of other parts of the community, whether it's businesses, whether it's the armed forces and elsewhere. Exactly what you say there is what exists.
They
you
go
get those in,
yeah.
That is amazing. I would love to see that rolled out, because that's very topical. And it existed in the past in terms of this, you know, experience of Black youngsters, and it still exists now.
Yes, it does. And because they are not doing the right things by the public. If you're going to have people serving the public, they have to serve them well.
Yeah.
You cannot just willy-nilly have anyone in the police because you need to raise the police numbers. You really have to do your job. When I did the book, when we did the book launch, I said to the police, because there were quite a lot of police there, and I have a lot of them who are my friends now as well, because they see us not as a threat, but as a solution to a problem. Okay. And I said to them,
sorry, they see you as a threat?
No, they don't see us as a threat.
Okay, I see.
They don't, because we're allying with them.
Okay.
Yeah, right? So I said to them, you will always have crime. By the nature of sin in this world, you will always have crime. So a police stop and search, you are now criminalizing a young man if you're in a scuffle, because you are actually trying to put handcuffs on them, which now they are not legally, they're not legally bound to do. Right. You can't handcuff somebody willy-nilly now. That's an offense on the police. Okay. So if you're stopping an innocent person and you're antagonizing them because you want to now have them in the system, you are now going to antagonize them. They're going to assault you. Now, the original stop and search wasn't for knife, it wasn't for drugs, it was on assaulting a police officer. That's not a crime. That was never the crime or the intelligence that the police are stopping that young person on. So now they've got a criminal record of assault against a police officer, where before they were just clean residents, community-minded young people. So I said to them, you'll always have crime, arrest the right people, do not make criminals out of innocent people.
This is so important, so important. And I don't have to tell you because you're right in the middle of it. And you're from Wolverhampton, whatever size that is. And as you expand into the larger cities, or even smaller ones, those things multiply.
Yes.
You know. So what are they doing about it, especially from a voice like yours, bringing to the table something like that? Are they really seriously looking at what you're saying? Because this is really fantastic what you're saying. If they're serious.
Yeah, they are serious. I mean, Simon Foster, he wants to do some work with us, so that is good. And I'm looking forward to doing work with him because he's very proactive. And he's very proactive in the Black community. People don't really know this. And I said, Simon, you need to get yourself out there more. So whenever I have events, you know, if you can make it, he will come. Because one thing he did, and this is how we actually met him. We were at a conference. We just saw it randomly advertised.
Yeah.
And my sister Esther, who you know, which you will be interviewing as well, she said, oh, let's go. The first half, you could have fallen asleep. The second half woke you up. Simon was talking about second chances. It's an organisation that he created for young Black boys who are in the penal system and they've been released.
He created that?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes, he created that with a team of people. And one of the young men is now a manager on the British Transport.
Wow.
Right, British Railway, and he's managing people.
Fantastic.
And so he went to prison because I think he stabbed someone and took their life. And then Simon said, you know what, you were young when you did it. Let's do these second chances. And that's what he's doing. And he's always there advocating against hate crime. Yeah, he's very, very proactive.
That's fantastic. So he's, I don't know what rank he is in the police. Is he up there? The reason I'm asking the question is that he's obviously a representative in what he does. So, and you talk about conferences, you know, and all of what we've been talking about here, the research and, you know, the educational, we talk about racism and how you can be tested. He sounds like a person that could take this wider in the wider sort of feel like having a police conference or something like that.
Yes, you're right, Donald. And Simon's role is he was voted in by the community. So he is over all the police in the West Midlands.
Oh, in the West Midlands? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So he holds a police budget. He tells them what they're going to spend it on. He tells them what projects they need to do. So and he also appoints the chief constable, which is so it's Simon, then the chief constable, and then the other police.
Wow.
So
that's fantastic.
So he's over the police. So yes, he's got a very important role.
Right. So he obviously goes to meeting with other regional police people around the country, and ideally that I would think is something to sell to them, if that's the right word, but certainly be tabled, right? And I'm sure you'll have a word with them to do that.
I will.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
You are also a creator of an award-winning organization, Soko Tito or Tato.
Yes.
I think some people find that hard to say, but you know.
They do because it's a new name and they've never heard it before. But once you get to know it, it's Shuko Tito for the sugar.
Right. Okay.
Sugar.
All right. Okay.
Cotton, cocoa.
Okay.
Coffee, tea, and tobacco. All the things that the enslaved people picked and that we love and enjoy to this day.
Wow, that's very interesting. Because when you look at that, you don't see any of you don't see what you say there. But that's very interesting once you explain that there.
Yes. So that was created because I said, look, we have Remembrance Day. And it's about a world war that we didn't create. We didn't have a part in. We just had our part by helping the war effort, whether it's, you know, fighting the enemy lines or just, you know, helping out behind the scenes.
Yes. Yes.
That was an important role as well.
Very important,
And
which
I
a lot
said,
of people don't know about. We're not going to go
no,
down that road, but finance and goods and all this sort of thing
absolutely.
by wives and husbands and whoever else is left behind, very important. I totally agree.
Yes, it's very, very important. So I said, you know what's interesting, right? Every year, November the 11th, I remember that Remembrance Day with the wreath and the poppy. And I said, who's remembering us from the time we picked from the time we were taken off the slave ships? Well, taken from our place of home, taken on the slave ships. Some didn't even make it across the sea. Some chose to end their life rather than be chattel slaves or enslaved. And some got there and lived a miserable life. Children were born on the plantation. They were having Xboxes, going riding bikes, visiting friends, going to the cinema. They lived there, died there, picking cotton, cutting down sugarcane, making clothes for, the slave owners, the overseers. And they did so much things. Who's remembering them? They died at sea. Who's remembering them? They died on the plantation. Where are their graves? So the wreath was to remember our ancestors who we don't know, but we know that their footprint is there because of what we are enjoying to this day. And so I'm not. I haven't got the wreath. I haven't got a wreath here, but I've got the symbol of it, the little poppy.
Wow.
It's like the poppy, but it's a Shuko flower.
Right.
And the little square thing is that would be the sugar, the sugar cube.
Oh, really?
And this is the cotton. And Donald, it's so sharp that when you would actually pick from morning till night, your fingers would bleed, and the red dot is for the blood that was shed.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
You'll hear more about it. You'll hear more about it, but that's what the red dot is for, the blood that was shed, picking these commodities. And not just that, it's a lot more than that, this wreath.
Yes.
So it's for anyone that has died and shed blood, but you'll know more about it soon.
So do you have a smaller version of the wreath as a poppy or as yet, so people can actually purchase and
yes, I have.
Fantastic.
I have. And so
and the idea came into your head and you just created the organization. Is that how that worked?
Yes, the idea came from God Almighty. I'm a Christian.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I know it was God, and I wished I had the wreath to actually show you.
Not to worry.
Because within the wreath, there's one dark red drop of blood, and that was for God that hates racism. God hates anything that takes the life of another human being. And that dark red dot is for God. So it was him that gave me the idea. It could not have come from me. No way. No.
That is amazing.
I can't claim that.
And you've got the 2nd anniversary coming up.
Yes, I have. I have, and I'd love you to attend.
And I look forward very much. It's in my diary.
Oh, brilliant. Wonderful. You will really enjoy it. We had Sir Jeff Palmer. He did do you know Sir Jeff Palmer?
From Glasgow University?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes, he's a lovely man. So he came, we had the inauguration. We had a lot of dignitaries come then. And then the first year anniversary was last year. He came as our keynote speaker again.
Wow.
You need to have him on your program. He is amazing.
Yes.
So he came. So he came for the both. Then we had the Left Lieutenant. We had Dr. Beverly Lindsay. We had quite a lot of.
Oh wow! I certainly looking forward to that. That's fantastic. Wow. So you're such a creator in certain things. I can see that your mind just bubble over with a lot of different things. I suppose sometimes you have to just say, slow down a bit.
You know what? I only take on what I know is a solution. I'm a solution-focused woman.
All right.
So if I hear of a problem, I'm going to find that solution. So the A kit book was a solution. The wreath is a solution. We need to be remembered. We are
Yes.
not going through life not being remembered, and that was a solution. And
Right.
ever I've mentioned it, you know, the Archbishop of Canterbury, he has one of the wreaths as well. So
Right.
he's got
Yeah.
that hanging in Lambeth Palace. So a lot
Wow.
of,
Fantastic. The forgotten
yeah,
generations
absolutely,
do need to be remembered. We must. We've done
absolutely.
so much in life that, when people hear things that we've done and are doing, and will do in the future,
Yeah.
what it does from one of my experience is when people learn about you and you learn about them, it makes a better society because
Yes, it does.
respect, you learn to respect each other. What I've also seen is people judging you by what they learn from the media, i.e. the
Mhm.
TV, the newspaper, and what sells most, as you know, is negativity.
Yes, it does.
So if that's all they've learned about you, they'll judge you as soon as they see you by the color of your skin and what they've learned. That's amazing.
Yes, it is. It really is. And I like that you said that the media will allow people to judge you by the color of your skin.
Mm.
But also I realize that skin I'm gonna challenge this racism term because there's only one race. Because as a Christian, there's only one race. We come from Adam and Eve. Even if it was evolution, Donald, it would still be we've all come from one gene pool.
Okay.
Even if it was a big bang, we came from one bang. So any which way, it's one thing. So
Right.
this racism thing for me, it's not racism, it's skinism.
All
Because
right.
so
Yeah.
I'm going to call it skinism. My skin's
Yes.
better than your skin. I'm white, so my color of my white skin is better than your black
Yeah.
skin.
Yes.
So I'm all about changing the narrative and changing words and making them make sense.
Yes.
You know, people eat chocolate, they love chocolate, but it's the same color as me, but you hate me.
Yeah, that's very deep, all of this, that's fantastic.
But that's another story. That's another
That's
story.
totally, oh my God. Oh, this is fantastic. So you know what you do?
Yes.
Are you a traveled person? Have you traveled, other parts of the world?
Yes, I have. I've been to quite a few places actually.
All right.
I do like to travel. I do like cultures because I love people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've got this
Yeah.
love within me that I need to share with other people.
That's
And
fantastic.
I think it's a natural
I
thing.
like that line. I like that. A love within you that you need to share with other people. I like that. That's very good.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
love people. I just love people. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so I've been to apart from the Caribbean, of course,
Okay.
which I will go one day. I'm definitely going to go. I have to go,
Yeah.
even if it's just to Dunn's River.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. Wonderful, wonderful visit.
But
Anyway.
initially, you asked me about do I embrace my heritage?
Mm.
Culturally, mango. You can't beat the mango.
Oh my God, did you just say that?
You
That is
can't beat
fantastic. My favorite fruit. Anyway,
the
let me tell you stories
mango.
about that. Oh my goodness.
I know. In the Garden of Eden, it was a mango that she ate. End of story. End of
Story.
story. But yeah, so I've been to America a few times. I've been to Greece. I've been to I'm trying to remember Cyprus. I've been to Israel, Egypt. Where else have I been? Paris a few times.
So
Uh,
that's fantastic because traveling it broadens the mind in
it
so many
does.
different ways, from cuisine to the actual
Yes,
cultural, you know. Oh, that's excellent.
yes. And I've been to
Absolutely.
Abu Dhabi and Dubai a few times.
Wow, wow, wow. And I'm sure you haven't stopped. It's just you're carrying on, right?
Yes, I'm going to Malta at the end of this month.
Nice
So
visit. Have you visited Malta before?
never been.
Try and get to Gozo.
Oh, Gozo, yes, funny because my husband's mother was Maltese, you see.
Okay.
So we're all going there as a family just to see where his mom came from, her footprint.
Okay. That,
So
that's another story in itself. Oh
It
my
is.
goodness.
It is. That is another story actually, because
Yeah.
and I'll tell you about that another time if you ever have me back on, or just if I see you for a nice hot cup of chocolate with a piece of mango. I'll I'll
Oh
tell
my
you all.
God. Mango. I've got to tell you that that is my favorite fruit. And I've been born
No.
in the Caribbean and grew up with it, with several mango trees around in my
Oh,
yard.
stop it.
Ah, please. Anyway, listen.
Oh
Oh
God.
my goodness.
Yeah.
That's completely another story. So futuristically then, ambitions. Have you got any other sort of ambitions and doing things in mind apart from carrying on what you're doing, of course, you know?
Yeah, my ambition is to travel the world, and my ambition is to get people who are, how can I put it now without sounding, people who are racist not to be, to find out the truth about why they are.
Mm,
And because with care, it's about the reparation of the mind.
mm,
We talk about reparation financial, and we will get that. As God is my witness, God understands, when people have not been equally treated, and
yes,
when they've
yes,
been abused because
yeah.
of economics, and then the money's been taken and objects have been taken. They've taken like artifacts and things like that
Mm,
from
mm,
people who are two-thirds human, but yet they can take all these things and wow, and they've made this, and they're animalistic, but they can make all these wonderful things. I want them to understand you wasn't born with racism or skinism. It's been given to you. It's been handed to you from generation to generation. You talk about forgotten generation. I want them to forget racism or skinism as a part of their ongoing generation.
wow,
So that's what care was set up to do, to
wow,
repair the mind. So when we
wow.
get the financial reparation, we're going to enjoy it because our minds are free from the trauma of racism, skinism, free from the trauma of slavery, because now
Wow.
we've been remembered through the wreath, and our minds are now healed from the trauma of it. And let's start to enjoy. And it's for both Black and white, and anyone that wants to know about the reparation of the mind. Care is there to help them and to teach them and to show them you are the ones that are in slavery, because you are still in this space of racism when you don't have to have it, because it's not helping you, it's impeding you. So I want to work together even with our white people, and make them into allies so we can live a better life without racism. How freeing is that?
That's fantastic. That
So
really is quite a message and a whole world to take forward. Educating the younger mind
yes,
to say this is what it is, because they need to grow up seeing that, and it becomes a norm.
yes, of course.
Then of course you got to educate those who are elderly at the moment, because they've got something completely different in their mind.
Yes.
So I love that message.
Thank
Absolutely
you very
fantastic.
much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you've really taken us on a journey there, and I'm sure the public will, get a lot from hearing your story. I mean, it's just fabulous what you do.
Thank you.
You know, have you got any questions about the forgotten generations?
Yes, I'd like to know what made you start that, because it's an amazing. I've looked at the website and I mentioned you before. It's absolutely outstanding.
Thank you.
You've taken it to another level, and I like the forgotten generations because you have made them be unforgotten. You
Thank
brought
you.
them to life. These are real people with real histories. They were little children running around playing happily, and now
Mm,
you're telling me that they're forgotten.
yeah.
Not with you. No.
Thank you very much. Well, I have written a book, as you probably know, called My Path of Life.
Yes.
And when I wrote the book, I thought to myself, wow, I was left behind in the Caribbean by my parents at a very young age, and they came here. I just put a question mark in between and said, what happened next? What happened to the children that were left behind? And what happened to the parents that came here? And I thought, you know what? I'd like to find out. And then I thought, why don't I start interviewing these people?
Wonderful.
And that's the basis of how the Forgotten Generation started. And it took so many different angles. This has taken so many different angles now, because I look at people who were born in the Caribbean, and I look at people who were born here, and I look at people who came from the Caribbean to meet the people who were born here.
Oh gosh, 3 different angles.
And that is not necessarily a good fit. There are lots of problems within that world.
Okay.
Yes, because the cultural, you talk about culture, the cultural difference to some people, as in Caribbean, to some children here, as in British, when you bring the two together under the same mother and father, it doesn't necessarily work.
True.
That's another word. So I then also expanded that theory to look at the armed forces, because I'm ex-armed forces, and I thought, you know what, we've got a lot of our elderly people are so much forgotten, World War II especially. Yeah. And I thought, well, together I can actually look at formulating some sort of educational tool, which is our website, by interviewing these people and bringing it to the fore so the world can see it.
It's wonderful. It really is.
So that's how I started the Forgotten Generations. And it's so good to have people like yourself on board, because you're a stalwart in the community, and all those people, really you are, because that's fantastic. That journey that we've just been on, especially going down the road of your ambitions and working with the police, I think those things not just should be, but must be rolled out into the wider community, because they're so good if people are serious about being better in the future. So
yes,
I've got to thank you so much for this journey.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Super. Any other questions or?
Well, yes. I mean, even the forgotten generations. Do you interview like children of the pet, like the grand and great grandchildren, to see what their take on it, and how do they navigate that?
Okay, that's a very good question. So we plan to have a junior page.
Oh,
right. Nice. We haven't got one as yet. We also plan to have an educational page.
Wonderful.
So we are updating the current website to a more, dynamic website. So futuristically should be a lot better. So what I want to populate it with are exactly like you say, the generations from young to, and we've started to gather information already, because I've just interviewed the youngest author in the world.
Oh.
Yes. His first books were written at age 4.
Oh, wow.
Yes. A Black youngster, the youngest author in the world.
That is fantastic.
Yes. So we have many more of those youngsters out there.
Brilliant.
So I've interviewed mother and son, and it's just, and then we've got so much more about us as a people, that needs to be out there. And for instance, sickle cell. And I went to a heritage opening of the sickle cell organization yesterday, and the messages from the lived experience is absolutely amazing. And we need to take that further as well, to highlight that is a really significant thing that goes on in the Black lives of the community.
Yes.
Our community.
Yes. And you made a very interesting point that came to my head when you mentioned the sickle cell, because I'm thinking as well, when you have mixed families, the sickle cell gene could be handed down, but they just think it's just people of like our complexion. But you can get mixed heritage children, and then when they might marry a white person, and then the child looks white, and they could have sickle cell.
Absolutely.
And they're not thinking, well, I don't know if it's not thinking about it, but all of that is impactful.
Very impactful.
That's wonderful. Sickle cell.
It's a whole different world.
It is.
But with people like yourself in the community that's championing and taking these things forward is fantastic. So again, I gotta thank you so much for agreeing to this. And we'll obviously meet again.
Yes, we will. And I'm looking forward to it. And keep that beautiful smile and keep doing what you're doing, because the forgotten generation will never be forgotten if you hadn't have done what you've done. You know, it was meant for, it was already meant and divine, and a divine mission, a divine purpose just for you, Donald. So well done for stepping out, because it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and thank you very much for notes. And you know, people like you know what it's like to actually get these things out there and bring them to the fore. You do know, so I really appreciate that. But thank you so much for all of this.
You're welcome.
And I look forward to meeting up again. Okay.
Okay. Have a lovely day. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.